Frantic, Marshal Joel Beckett pressed himself flat against the old jailhouse wall in Red Creek. 90 angry townsmen, guns leveled at his chest, spilled into dawn's first light. 2 nights earlier, Beckett had broken the town's fiercest rule. He'd spent $5 to buy a terrified girl at a secret slave auction. He did it to save her life. The storm-clenched sky to the east promised doom by sunrise. If he handed her back now, he'd betray his mercy. If he didn't, his own life might pay the price. What price would justice demand of him? Red Creek's abandoned mill was dark, except for a flickering lantern and murmured voices. Marshal Joel Beckett moved through the crowd in a scuffed leather coat and battered hat. Years ago, he'd promised a dying friend never to draw a gun again after too much blood spilled. Now another vow tugged at him: to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. The auctioneer's gavel pounded hard. "Who'll give this one a home and a name?" he called. Deputy Hank Dalton hovered at the edge. "Think on this. Town law says let them report it, not buy it," Hank warned. Joel knelt beside the girl. Her small face was streaked with fear and tears. The air smelled of rain and cordite as thunder growled outside. "This is justice," Joel whispered. He pressed a silver coin and a crumpled bill into the auctioneer's palm. The hall fell utterly silent. Joel raised the girl's eyes with a steady hand. "You're safe now," he said gently. Lightning slashed overhead, reflecting in his tarnished badge. He helped her to her feet. The cold cuffs cut her skin, drawing a soft gasp. "You're free," Joel whispered, guiding her out into the storm. They ran across the muddy yard to a nearby barn. Joel helped her inside and crouched by the door, cradling her against the howling wind. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating her tear-streaked smile. He wrapped his coat around her shoulders and whispered, "We made it." He shut the barn door behind them, heart still pounding, as distant voices from the auction drifted away in the storm. Watch to see if mercy survives at dawn's light. Lightning still flashed overhead as dawn broke cold and gray. Joel Beckett sat clutching the girl on a bale of hay in an old barn. The smell of damp earth and pine was sharp in his nose. With him was Caroline Mallory, the school teacher who had been part of town since they were kids. At the front strode Marshal Brackett, the brutal vigilante who claimed to enforce Red Creek's harsh code, flanked by 40 blood-sworn townsmen. "What's this, Marshal?" Joel asked, voice steady. Brackett spat tobacco. "You bought her wrong," he snarled. "Auction was rigged. We all bid fair. Now that girl's back where she belongs." Deputy Hank Dalton was forced back to the wall outside. He shouted through the rain, "Hold your fire!" Caroline stepped forward defiantly. "Let her go." Joel did what any decent man would. Brackett leveled his pistol at Joel. "Any decent man? You mean this outlaw?" he growled. "Hand her over." Reverend Caleb Barron, Joel's old mentor, suddenly stepped between them. "Put down your guns, both of you," he shouted. Thunder rolled overhead. The crack of a pistol sent splinters of wood flying. Caroline gasped as she saw Barron fall. Outside, Hank Dalton cursed Joel's name through the door. Joel staggered back, mind reeling at the toll his mercy had taken. Reverend Barron's body slid down the rough planks, eyes wide in shock. Joel staggered back as the rifle clattered to the floor. A coppery scent filled the air. Barron's blood. Mercy had its price. Joel realized he was about to pay. What would he do now? Joel turned as the pistol's echo faded. Deputy Hank Dalton stood in the doorway, rifle at the ready. Relief eased Joel's shoulders. Hesitant light filtered between warped planks as Joel knelt by Reverend Barron's still figure. The priest's breath had gone silent. A single trail of red wove a dark stain down the wood floor. Joel's hands shook. Barron's voice echoed in Joel's memory. Mercy for the condemned is mercy to the meek. He remembered the night he swore that oath. In a dusty gulch at Yellow Rock, Joel had cradled his dying partner, Sam Riley, sliding the rifle from the boy's dying grasp. Barron's trembling hand had been on his shoulder. "Spare them now, Joel," Barron had whispered. "Let mercy be your justice." Caroline pressed a hand to his shoulder. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I know about promises," she whispered. "My father died protecting me from a mob once. I swore I'd live for others after that." Joel met Caroline's gaze. In her reflection, he saw a younger self, before outlaw blood. "I kept my promise to Reverend Barron," he said softly, voice catching. "I won't break mine with God." He reached out, and Caroline took his hand. Each found strength in the other's steady presence. Joel exhaled raggedly, pushing back panic. Caroline's grip on his hand tightened. "It's just us now," he murmured quietly. Caroline winced, glancing at the broken door. The barn smelled of smoke and rain. Rain pattered as dawn light grew. They shared a long breath in the smoky darkness. Joel holstered his rifle. "We'll face this together," he promised. Joel glanced toward the doorway. Each breath thundered in his ears. In the hush of the barn, a faint shuffle of steps came from the shadows. They were not alone. Rain hammered the barn roof as Joel burst outside. Lightning carved the gray sky as vigilantes flooded the yard in pursuit, eyes burning with fury. He thrust the rifle up. Thunder rolled above them. Each armed man was etched in the chaos. Joel squeezed the trigger. Splinters flew. Joel ducked behind a haystack, yanking Caroline down with him. Bullets whined as they ripped through wood, each impact a whip crack in the raging storm. "Caroline!" Joel barked. She raised a pistol, handed by a deputy. "Aim!" he growled. The revolver barked. Brackett, eyes wild, crumpled into the mud, bleeding out. His pistol fell from a scorched hand. A sudden hush fell. Joel's chest heaved. They had won. Brackett was dead. He stood dripping in the soaked grass, adrenaline still pumping. Dead men lay still at his feet. Smoke curled from the barn. Joel exhaled, water and blood mingling on his face. In the distance, Hank's voice whispered his name through the chaos. For a moment, there was only silence, until a single clap of thunder broke it. He shook out his coat, water and blood mixing underfoot. He felt the rain on his face and the ground beneath give way as adrenaline faded. Caroline was breathing, safe. He lowered his rifle slowly. Lightning flickered from above. Across the yard, a lone figure leaned against scorched wood. Joel's jaw tightened. Ren Barker, the outlaw he had once called brother, met his gaze with a hungry grin. Joel steadied himself for Ren's move. What price would Ren demand now? Rain eased to a drizzle as Joel stalked across the burning yard. Ren Barker, rifle cradled on his shoulder, stood by the charred barn wall. Caroline was just beyond him, hands tied, golden hair trembling as she stared at Joel with wide, frightened eyes. The air reeked of smoke and sweat. Ren's crooked grin widened. "Thought you could walk away from this. You always talked about mercy." Joel leveled his pistol. The damp barrel felt heavy in his grip. He glanced at Caroline. "Let her go," he demanded, voice steady. Ren slowly turned, pistol pressing at Caroline's chest. Promise made, Joel. I saved you once. He cocked the gun. Joel's heart thundered. Outside, a distant thunder rolled. In one breathless moment, he saw Caroline's tearful face and Ren's cruel sneer. Only one shot, and 2 lives hung in the balance. He knew what he had to do, even if it tore his soul apart. You promised mercy before God, Ren hissed. Give it! He studied Joel like a preacher judging a sinner. Pull the trigger, Marshal. Me or her. Joel's finger trembled. One choice would break the last vow. The other would cost an innocent life. His jaw set. Clarity hit him like a bullet. He steadied himself and fired. The rifle barked. Ren jerked and crumpled, pistol clattering from his hands. Caroline screamed and barreled into Joel as if freed from a nightmare. Tears blurred his vision. He looked up at the gray sky, feeling the weight of what he'd done, and wondered if he could ever forgive himself for the price paid. The barn fell silent, except for the rain. Joel caught Caroline, her sobs muffled against his coat. He had broken one final rule, what saved her life. What price would honor demand now? The barn's fire smoldered behind them as dawn broke. Joel and Caroline stumbled away, still dripping with smoke and rain. Hank Dalton appeared at the door, face pale. He raised a hand to steady Joel. It's over, Hank whispered, voice shaking. Joel nodded, feeling like a ghost. The vigilantes lay silent on the wet grass. Caroline held the frightened girl close. Joel gently unwound her hands, checking she was unharmed. The air smelled of damp earth and pine. A distant church bell tolled once. A blackbird called from a nearby pine. Caroline turned to him, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. You did the right thing, she said softly. You saved us. Joel managed a tired smile. His chest ached, and relief mingled with guilt. Above them, the sky lightened to gray-blue. The storm had passed. Lightning had carved wide paths through clouds, and now a pale sun peeked over the horizon. A soft breeze carried the scent of wet grass and wood smoke. Reverend Barron's words echoed in Joel's mind. Mercy for the condemned is mercy to the meek. He had tested that mercy twice, once to save a life at a price, and today to save another at a terrible price. He reached up and brushed rainwater from the tarnished badge on his coat. The badge of law had led him here. Could it still guide him home? Caroline and the girl gazed up, hopeful. Joel took a steadying breath. He took one more look at the dying flames in the barn, then exhaled and took a step into the new day. Caroline squeezed his arm, grateful. The girl, safe in warm hands, smiled up at him. He accepted that the road ahead was uncertain, but at least he was no longer alone. Morning came clear. By noon, all of Red Creek crowded the town square outside the rickety town hall. Joel Beckett stood on the dusty steps in his wet coat, the girl safe behind Caroline, Hank at his side. 90 armed vigilantes confronted him, rifles held low, faces dark with anger. Mayor Talbot stepped forward. Joel Beckett, he announced, voice wavering. You've brought this girl into town. Now these men claim our mercy was sold out from under them. Tell us how this is justice. Joel's throat tightened. Heat rushed into the sky like judgment. He faced the crowd, families he'd sworn to protect. I did what was right, he said. His voice rose. That girl was a child, stolen and alone. No law I know demands she return to fear. I bought her freedom with my own money." A murmur rippled. One man shouted out, "You gave our money to a thief." Joel held his gaze. "She was not a thief," he replied evenly. "She was someone's child." From the crowd came another voice. "She's as much one of us now as any." A weathered widow called. The word mercy hung in the air. Caroline stepped closer, tightening her arm around the girl. "We all make hard choices," she called to the assembly. "Better to save an innocent than let anger decide their fate." A hushed silence followed. Joel raised his worn badge for all to see. "I swore an oath to protect life," he reminded them. "Today, I did just that. If justice means anything, stand with me." Their faces softened. Slowly nods and murmurs of agreement spread through the vigilantes. The answer had been given not by verdict, but by hearts. The question of mercy would echo in Red Creek for years to come. He chose mercy, but he knew its cost would echo beyond dawn. Subscribe to see where honor and mercy will lead Joel